Good afternoon, friends. So as we say that the true potential of machinery or technology resides in its capacity to boost efficiency, accuracy, and bringing up some unmatched capabilities. They empower humans to reach the levels which are unimaginable. While machines bring precision, efficiency, humans bring the creativity, judgment, and the expertise. And together, when these two work, we get a better world. They say that the best results occur when human intuition and the machine intelligence work together. Today, as part of Nasscom Future Force 2023, we are celebrating this synergy between man and machine. Very glad to inform you that we have the leading deep tech startups in the field of robotics, space technologies, and space who are creating the indigenous capabilities for India and also empowering the nation. When it comes to space tech, probably all of us feel a pride when we say that we have reached moon. But at the same time, a question comes, what beyond that? Is it only about the pride? Just to share with you, the space technology serves as a backbone for a multitude of industries and our well-being. From global communication network, precision navigation, invaluable data for agriculture, weather forecasting, pivotal role in national security, surveillance, healthcare, education, infrastructure development, and what not. Everywhere you have a backbone coming from space technologies. So today I have a very distinguished guest to discuss with us. You can call it as the new age rocket boy of India or our satellite man, Sanjay with us. And to introduce Sanjay, can we have the AV please? Sanjay, can you join us?
Every day the human civilization progresses. We cross new boundaries. Satellites powered our television networks, expanded the horizons of our communication, helped us see the Earth from a new perspective. At the dawn of another such day, we at Dhruva work tirelessly to bring new innovations that make space access closer than you think.
We are a full-stack space engineering solutions company. Our solutions are in the areas of the space segment, the launch segment, as well as the ground segment. On the space segment, we build satellites for our customers depending on their requirements. We are an application agnostic company. We serve a variety of customers depending on their requirements. On the launch segment, we have our deployers, which enable our customers to launch CubeSats in the sizes of 1U all the way up to 12U on a variety of launch vehicles from around the world.
As part of our satellite platform, we build the structure, the electrical power systems, the onboard controller and the RF subsystem along with the antenna deployment mechanism.
We have ground station both as a product and a service. As a product, we build the ground station, we deploy it at our client location along with the complete infrastructure. Coming to the second part, which is a service, we have a network of ground stations. Each of them is remotely accessible, each of them has a 24/7 power backup and it has a high-speed connectivity. And to top it all of these ground stations run on a single software which enables clients to sit at any part of the world and do their mission control and access and downlink data seamlessly.
As we scale our operations and pave the way for mass manufacturing and building of larger satellite platforms as well as spacecraft solar arrays, Dhruva Space envisions to set up the critical infrastructure necessary for the realization of full spacecraft systems in Hyderabad. This 280,000 square foot facility comes over a 6.5 acre land strategically located at the Telangana State Industrial Infrastructure Corporation Hardware Park 2, in close proximity to our key partners and customers, as well as the Rajiv Gandhi International Airport, Shamshabad.
We've come a long way since we started Dhruva Space in 2012. We've raised our first round of capital, we've built the foundation blocks for the company. Today, we believe we have the expertise to enable access to space for a lot more countries and become Dhruva for the world in the coming decade.
Thanks. So friends, let's welcome Sanjay Nekkanti, CEO, the only private Indian satellite company, Dhruva Space.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sanjay. So Sanjay, to start with, we heard that you completed 3 space missions in less than 12 months. And it made all of us pride, right? So to start with, we would like to know more about this achievement and your Thibault launches.
Yeah. Firstly, thank you for having me over here. I think in the video we just spoke about doing space launch and ground systems. So just to give you a perspective, when you look at any space mission, whether it's manned or unmanned, it has 3 foundational pillars. The first one is the space segment, which deals with manufacturing of the spacecraft itself. The second is the launch segment, which takes the spacecraft and puts it into orbit. And the third is the ground segment, which deals with operating the satellites once they're in orbit. So essentially, the last 3 missions were a validation, revalidation of all the systems that we've been building as Dhruva Space. So in our first mission was in June of last year, where we tested a small separation system. So essentially, a separation system anchors your spacecraft onto a launch vehicle. And we build separation systems that are rocket agnostic. So that means I can put my satellites on an Indian rocket, on a US rocket, or any other rocket in the world. So that was our first mission. In the second mission, we actually utilized the same separation system to deploy 2 satellites, Thibault 1 and Thibault 2, which also happened to be India's first 2 private satellites authorized by the government of India. So, and then, thank you very much. And then in our third mission, we tested, larger size separation systems, so on and so forth, basically to, showcase our capability across the entire value chain.
Okay. So Sanjay, when you talk about the value chain, I have read through, you talk about the end-to-end satellite solutions. You say that we have the satellite platform, we have the satellite deployer, we have the earth stations. Looks like the complete gamut of things from Bhumandal to Brahmand. So, I mean, just share with us what at all it is and how you have built it, and what is the world-class quotient, I mean, how it is the world-class nature.
Sure. I think for that, we'll have to go back into history for a while. Just to give you a perspective, so from the 1960s until 2010, there were probably about 15,000 satellites launched. And between 2020 and 2035, it is estimated that there would be anywhere between 70,000 to about 1 lakh objects into space.
Wow.
So that's a staggering number, right? It's a huge number. So now, what has primarily happened over here is satellites over the years, with the evolution of your semiconductors, so on and so forth, the way in which a spacecraft can be built has reduced in size. So essentially, a task which a 500 kilogram class satellite used to do in early 90s can now be achieved on a satellite which is less than 10 kilograms.
Okay.
So essentially, the growth has primarily been in these satellites under 250 kilograms. So what we have done at Dhruva Space is we've built platforms ranging from 1 kilogram to about 250 kilograms, and people can utilize these platforms for a variety of applications. It could be imaging, it could be communications, it could be science, so on and so forth. So you can, I think you're talking about human and machine interaction, right? So essentially, you can assume that these platforms can enable human imagination in terms of what they want to achieve with the space asset. That's been our goal, and that's what we've been trying to showcase as a world-class solution, stitching it from the birth of a satellite to launch of a satellite and then completing its full lifetime. And coincidentally, the mission life for our first satellites launched in 2022, which is November of 2022, was about a year, and these two satellites are going to re-enter the Earth later this month, completing a full life cycle.
Oh, great. So, I heard about something called as space rush. Are we planning to transfer Bangalore outer ring road traffic to space, or I mean, like, what is your exact end goal? I mean, what is the space rush? If you can just tell us. I mean, how many satellites you plan to launch, let's say, next 5 years or 10 years?
Okay, so see, I think there are two aspects over here. One, I already mentioned, like the world is moving towards having anywhere between 70,000 to about 1 lakh satellites above the Earth. But we also have to understand where does India stand, right? So far as India, we've launched about 130 satellites, of which maybe about half of them are operational today. But if you were to compare that with Western governments, right? So for example, US government has about 800 of its own satellites that are operational. China has about 450. And if you were to compare the private companies, right? SpaceX alone has more than 3,000 satellites in orbit. And if you were to look at the global framework, there are 80 plus countries in the world today that have never launched anything into space.
Okay.
And hence, you are seeing that, a lot of people wanting to demonstrate their capability in space so that it can serve their national requirements. And space in general has been acting as a sort of a technology baseline for a lot of applications on Earth. And hence, I see that, there'll be a lot of thrust in the space tech sector. Primarily from a dual use perspective.
Okay. So maybe we would want to know, if you can answer it, next 5 to 10 years, how many satellites you might be launching?
I guess we would be doing, at least a couple of 100 satellites.
Guys, this is more than what India has done in 50, 60 years.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks. So, I mean, Sanjay, if you ask me during my studies or education time, we would have thought that, okay, either we'll get into the government service or one of us will join any one of the MNCs and, I mean, good paying jobs, right? And that is what many of us have done. Next generation, okay, we have the entrepreneurs coming and a lot of software solutions have been created in some ways. They say that, right, in Hindi there is a saying, पूत के certain signs पालने में ही दिख जाते हैं. So what happened? Your dad asked you what you want to do in future. You said I'll launch satellites, which like it's a very crazy idea those years. I mean, right? So no one could think. So how it all started? And friends, just to share with you, Dhruva is not a new company. He is spending more than 10 years. 2012 they started it. Maybe you can tell your story. What was your age and how you thought? And I mean, it's really fascinating one for us.
Sure. My father retired very recently from the military engineering services. So as a young child, I used to watch fighter jets take off, and that really used to give me goosebumps whenever. I really enjoyed that thrill, and that got me into engineering as a discipline. And I used to have this hobby. I still have one. I'm also a ham radio operator. So people, you must have seen when there are natural disasters, there are a bunch of people who carry radio sets and communicate, relay distress messages, so on and so forth. So it's actually a hobby. So I'm a ham radio operator, and after the success of Chandrayaan 1, there was a scientist from ISRO who had come to our university and said we as students could actually build satellites. And I was in that auditorium thinking about it, and I thought, okay, okay, but is this really possible, right? I would say I'm really thankful to the management of SRM University where I studied, who actually said, if that is possible, we want our students to actually build a satellite. And then ISRO gave us this challenge that, within 2 years we have to build the satellite to their standards, and only then they would launch it. And in this process of building the whole satellite ourselves, I realized that we're a country with 1 billion people, but there's not a single private company that exists in the country to serve the global market. And somehow that became like my mental block. It was too hard to believe that in a country with 1 billion people that has done some amazing inventions, doesn't have like a private company. And when I started asking people about why is it so, I didn't get any convincing answers. Most of them seemed like people thought it is not possible, and nobody tried.
I still think how it is possible.
Yeah. So that was actually the stepping stone for me to think about private space ventures from India to serve the global market. Just to give you a perspective, there are more than 400 small and medium scale companies that Indian Space Research Organization and Defense Research and Development Organization have nurtured over the last 40 to 50 years. And majority of these companies build small components for the space and defense program. So we are leveraging this ecosystem that already exists in the country to build solutions to serve the global market. And I'm actually very proud to tell you that our missions that we accomplished in the last 1 year, all of them have actually been designed, manufactured, launched, and operated from India.
You would want to tell us something about your partnership with ISRO and the kind of authorizations you have, and the only company which has launched the satellite on ISRO rockets?
I think there are definitely a bunch of companies that have utilized the Indian launch vehicle for showcasing their capabilities in orbit, but we were the first ones also to be authorized by InSpace. So InSpace is a new agency that is formed to promote the space tech sector in the country. So they are like the authorization wing for any private space activity in the country. They started in 2020, and they have actually been instrumental in solving a lot of the bottlenecks that that an entrepreneur would face, I would say. When we want to launch a satellite into orbit, we need to get a lot of permissions from various organizations, like for example, Department of Telecommunications, so on and so forth. So they actually facilitated they holded us to connect with the relevant people and solve all those bottlenecks. Now, when it comes to ISRO, ISRO is the primary owner or the builder of the launch vehicle, and New Space India Limited is the commercial arm. So the ISRO's PSLV is one of the most reliable launch vehicles in the world. So we leverage the PSLV launch vehicle to deliver our payloads into orbit. And from a long-term perspective, we are also beneficiaries of the technology that ISRO has created. So we have applied for the technology transfer for the IMS-1 100 kilogram, close to 100 kilogram platform from ISRO. This is primarily because when you're trying to serve a customer in the space industry, um, usually the customer would like to understand for how long has your system worked in space,
Yeah.
right? And we believe as Dhruva Space that there is no point in uh, recreating something that already exists. It is very important to utilize what already exists and build on top of that. So that's what we're doing with IMS-1. So we are looking at modifying the characteristics of the platform for mass production, wherein for customers we could deploy anywhere between 5 to 50 or even 100 or more satellites in orbit of the same class.
5 to 50 to 100 satellites. I think last response you used customer word multiple times. Friends, some of you are entrepreneurs, some of us work for corporates. You know how to get a customer. I don't know how to get a customer for satellite launch. Can you tell us how you get customers for satellite launch? Who are your customers? Generally, we have seen space technology means government is the only one who own that business. Thinking about space as a business itself is a difficult one. How you really get your customer? Where you really find them?
Sure. I think this was a problem that I faced when I was trying to raise capital, and I think thanks to that investor who'd actually said, "Look, your idea is fantastic, but show me the customer." And then you go out and talk to customers and say, hey, this is what we could build for you, and the customer would be like, okay, but for how many years has this worked in space, right? So it becomes like a choke point. It's a chicken and egg problem. And I think thanks to all the initiatives from Government of India, with the formation of the Startup India initiative, etc., we've been able to leverage those processes where we as a small company got a level playing ground almost with any large corporation when it came to government requirements. For example, so there was a requirement from a government agency for a critical component of a spacecraft, and this was an open tender. So we had applied for that as a startup. We competed with a large industries. We won the order, and that kind of set a precedence to a lot of things, right? So now you have a customer, so you can raise capital. Now you also have a scalable model established, so you build on top of that. But primarily, our customers are government and defense establishments. Enterprise customers are largely large corporations who serve government and military outside of India.
Okay. You think any one of us could be your customer in future?
I'm sure. In fact, I believe that if you are aspiring to do something in space, you could leverage the platform that we have built and think of ideas on top of it. And there is a possibility that we might even fund it as long as it makes business sense.
Okay. So Sanjay, when we discuss, I mean, in our Nasscom, DeepTech Club, all this, we do discuss about some 4 or 5 important challenges with all the DeepTech companies are finding, right? Long gestation period, supply chain issues, lack of test bed infrastructure to really validate your solution. I'm sure you would have seen all of them because your solution is complex. It has electronics, hardware, everything into it. So just in 30 seconds, I would ask you some quick questions that how did you overcome? So one is obviously the supply chain dependencies.
Have multiple of them.
How did you overcome them?
So you never build a product where you have one company as your choke point. So we as Dhruva Space have about 450 registered vendors with us, and for multiple systems we have all of those sorted.
Okay. Lack of test bed for product validation. For you, I think it's even more difficult.
Yes, so that's where I think ISRO had pitched in. So we utilized the infrastructure that already existed in the country. If that infrastructure was not there in the country, we had looked for backup options outside of India.
Lack of mass manufacturing capability, especially when it comes to hardware.
So we are creating one now.
Yourself?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, the facility that we show.
We have some VC friends. Lack of patient capital. let him answer.
I think yes, it's an evolving problem, but I think the policies coming in from the government are also allowing investors to think differently. I think it's a temporary problem.
Okay. So you have high level of conviction, right?
I would like to be like a river. If a mountain comes, I would, go around the mountain. I would not stop.
So Sanjay, 10 years started in 2012. We are in 2023. I'm sure that a lot of challenges in between. How you see these 10 years, how the overall ecosystem has changed, evolved, how the policy has supported, how it has happened.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic evolution, I would say. I started in 2012, so it was a different government. 2 years into running the company, we had the new government come in, and there was talk about startups, so on and so forth. But to be very honest, if I were to go back in time, the famous companies back then were, Flipkart, Big Basket, so on and so forth. And then, the second phase, again, the same government came in, and then we had the National Startup Awards that came up to recognize right set of companies, recognize the right set of companies in different domains, and help them grow, not just within India but outside of India, right? So we won the National Startup Award for the space tech sector. That helped me, connect with organizations not just within India but also outside of India. So it's a transformative journey over a decade, from where people thought space is impossible to a point where the government wants more entrepreneurs to come into the space tech sector. So I think government plays an important role. The ecosystem in itself has evolved drastically, and I think together we are building a great India.
Oh, great. So 10 years from now, where you see Dhruva, where you see India space tech?
So I think there will be more interplanetary missions, but more than that, I think we will, as Indians, I think we will all be proud of probably going to space. I think the human spaceflight program is in the works. I think Dhruva, we will also start looking at the human spaceflight side of things. We've in fact already started to work in that direction. I think the future is very, very exciting. I think everybody should think about how space tech can transform their business or can add value to what they're doing.
Guys, can we give him a big round of applause? He's talking about man on moon in next 10 years. I'm already, believe me, when I'm talking to him, it's like as good as me being on moon. Yeah.
Hey, Palash,
So-
we'd have to request you
Yeah,
to
yeah.
wrap things
Yeah.
up because we're
So, Sanjay, just we really wish you best wishes from all of us. Just last one-liner, which you can share with all our budding entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think you should, if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, there will be hurdles. Fall but wake up. Just don't get tired. If you are tired, the only thing that is stopping you from achieving your goal is you giving up. So please don't give up.
Thanks. Best wishes to Sanjay. I must say that one of the flag bearer of, in quotes, India's journey from those neck charmers to space charmers. This is Sanjay Nekkanti. And as he has talked about all the perseverance which they have shown in last 10 years, I just remembered some of those lines I've just improvised in Hindi, saying that सूरज जैसा बनना है तो सूरज जैसा जलना होगा, नदियों सा आदर पाना है तो पर्वत छोड़ निकलना होगा, और हम भारत के बच्चे हैं, क्यों सोचें कि राह सरल होगी, कुछ ज़्यादा वक्त लगेगा, पर संघर्ष जरूर सफल होगा। कर्म अगर सच्चाई है तो कर्म कहाँ निष्फल होगा। कर्म अगर सच्चाई है तो कर्म कहाँ निष्फल होगा। कर्म तुम्हारा कल होगा, कर्म हमारा कल होगा। थैंक यू संजय।